Welcome back, everyone, to another historic election in which we are going to try and change the outcome. And in the process, maybe learn a little bit of the history of what was going on at the time through the policy decisions that we have to make and the campaign decisions we have to make. Today, we're going to take on the election of 1896, which pits Ohio Governor William McKinley against three-time Democratic presidential nominee William Jennings Bryan. This is the first of the three times. He'll be the nominee again 4 years later in a rematch against McKinley. And then in 1908, he'll be the Democrat nominee going up against William Howard Taft. So he's 0 for 3. We're going to try to change that for him. He did later serve as the Secretary of State for Woodrow Wilson, ended up resigning over some differences in policy, and then was, toward the end of his life, involved in what became known as the Scopes Monkey Trial. So today we're going to be talking about this election. William McKinley runs as the establishment Republican. Remember, the Republicans have pretty much held the White House for the last 35 years, with the exception of 2 terms by Grover Cleveland at this point. And William Jennings Bryan brings a radically different agenda to the race. The bad economy and the coinage of silver dominate the discussion. William McKinley will make the case for traditional Republican policies, including a strong defense of the gold standard. Bryan will state that there can be no relief for debtors or the larger economy without inflation, which he hopes to bring about via free silver. Now, you may not know this, but scholars believe that the book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the one on which the movie The Wizard of Oz is based, is actually an allegory for the 1896 election. That originally it wasn't ruby slippers, they were silver slippers that Dorothy wears going down the yellow brick road, the gold standard and the silver standard, and she needs both to get where she's going, which is what William Jennings Bryan is advocating for. William McKinley is the wizard in this case, who stays in Oz, OZ, meaning ounces, because his wife was very sick, so he didn't really campaign. People came to him in Canton, Ohio, where he was living at the time. William Jennings Bryan, I believe, is supposed to be the Cowardly Lion, if I remember right. Scarecrow were the Western farmers. Tin Man represented the working man. Anyway, I don't know that L. Frank Baum, the author, ever actually acknowledged that was the case, but it's been speculated for a long time. So anyway, we're going to try to change history. We're going to take on the role of William Jennings Bryan of Nebraska. He electrified the convention in Chicago with his famous Cross of Gold speech. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of that speech. So, there's actually a recording, an audio of William Jennings Bryan who recorded himself reading the words to that speech. We won't play that, but I'll just kind of sum it up here. And I don't know if I agree with the first part of this. The most famous speech in American political history, that might be a stretch, but it's definitely up there. Was delivered by William Jennings Bryan on July 9th, 1896, at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The issue was whether to endorse the free coinage of silver at a ratio of silver to gold 16 to 1. This inflationary measure would have increased the amount of money in circulation and aided cash-poor and debt-burdened farmers. After speeches on the subject by several U.S. senators, Bryan rose to speak. The 36-year-old, he would have been the youngest president ever elected in our history, former congressman from Nebraska, aspired to be the Democratic nominee for president, and he had been skillfully but quietly building support for himself among the delegates. His dramatic speaking style and rhetoric roused the crowd to a frenzy. The response, wrote one reporter, came like one great burst of artillery. Men and women screamed and waved their hats and canes. Some wrote another reporter like demented things divested themselves of their coats and flung them high in the air. The next day, the convention nominated Bryan for president on the 5th ballot. The full text of the William Jennings Bryan famous Cross of Gold speech appears below. So, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check this out and read the speech for yourself. It's pretty long, but that is obviously the basis it's kind of the foundation for his campaign here. So running as a liberal and an evangelical. So he's going to be the guy that in the Scopes Monkey Trial in the 1920s, where evolution's being taught in schools, he's going to be the one that comes out against that. and very famously takes the side of banning evolution from schools. Lacking the funds to run a large campaign, Bryan will bring his speaking talents to bear by touring the United States. So he's got fanatical support among farmers in the South and the West, but that will not be enough in and of itself to win this election. So Adlai Stevenson had been vice president for Cleveland, but Cleveland's unpopular at this point. We've got a Democrat from Indiana. Iowa, I think we're already good in those places. Honestly, I kind of like the idea of someone from Maine who might help me in the Northeast. One of the few prominent Democrats in that region who can help balance the ticket with a non-Western presence. His considerable wealth can also help finance the campaign. He's on the conservative wing of the party and has few political connections. That's all right. We'll take our chances with that. Okay. Which of the following most closely matches your overall campaign message? So we need to make sure that we don't go against what we know Bryan stood for historically, because that tends to be a no-no in this game when you backtrack from earlier positions, and also kind of being wishy-washy and not taking a firm position also tends to hurt you. So we support the free coinage of silver priced at 16 to 1. Yeah, so we're gonna focus on what we already said we were gonna do with that. And so here's the situation as it stands right now. Pretty close election, but McKinley's got a lot of the most populous states. So Ohio's got 23. Pennsylvania's got 32. What do we need to switch to win this thing? So there's a total of 447. So we need to, looks like, flip about 40 of these electoral votes, give or take. So Ohio would not be enough in and of itself. We would need something like Indiana and then another state too. You've alluded to the need for less prejudice between the races. Senator Pitchfork Ben Tillman of South Carolina privately seeks your clarification. Here's where it gets dangerous, because obviously we have deep support in the South, and we have to try and find a fine line between being a bigot and angering the bigots in the South. So, I don't want to come too hard on that one. I call for greater understanding, but not an overthrow of the natural order. You have appeased Mr. Tillman without coming across as a firebrand in the North. Okay, cool. So that's good. Looks like Indiana is kind of up in the air right now. You have very little chance of winning New York this fall. Nearly all of that city's newspapers are anti-Bryan. Doesn't mean you couldn't draw a frenzied crowd in New York City. Perhaps the media attention would be beneficial. Remember, if we don't have a lot of money to fund our campaign, any free publicity we can get, I think, would probably be good. I'll give one big speech in New York City to open my campaign. True to form, you packed the streets of the Lower East Side and whipped the crowd into a frenzy. New York Times filled its pages with sensational headlines and terrified editorials. Nice. All right, so it looks like we might have actually moved Indiana in our column. 211 to 236 now. So we need Indiana. We're going to need a little more than that. California is only 9 electoral votes. We definitely could probably use Ohio. Can you state your definitive position on the American monetary system? So a state like Ohio, I'm looking at Maryland. Yeah, Ohio's kind of the best chance we've got for a big state. Ohio or Michigan. On currency, they're moderate. So we just got to not go too crazy on this one. I'm going to stick with what I was on. Music to your ears, to the ears of your farmer constituency. Yeah, but we're going to need more than just the farmers. 245 to 202. Grover Cleveland sent federal troops to Illinois to end the Pullman strike without the request of the governor. Was this an overreach on his part? All right, so places like Illinois, on business, they're moderate. On labor, they're moderate. See, McKinley's a favorite of big business, and he was heavily bankrolled by the likes of the J.P. Morgans and Rockefellers of the world. So if we can draw even a little bit of that support, let's see. Bargaining for wages is business of a man and his employer. Collective bargaining has no place in American society. That might hurt me, though, because William Jennings Bryan is kind of the working man guy. Something needed to be done, so I'm going to try to take a middle road here a little bit. Are you taking the side of Grover Cleveland over that of hardworking American railroad men? All right, so maybe I didn't go quite where I should have with that one, but it did hurt me a little bit. What do you have to say about William McKinley's campaign at a high level? He's an honorable man. Yeah, his support of high tariffs is a crime which strangles American commerce. How do states like Indiana feel about tariffs? Slightly supportive. They're supportive. So I guess I don't want to go too hard on that. Focus on issues, not the opponent. McKinley is a Civil War veteran and a patriot, but he's also the favorite. You need vigorous if you're going to have a chance. So yeah, we're going to have to go after him a little harder, I guess. The novelty of a personal visit from the great commoner could probably swing the West Coast states in your directions. However, it will take 2 weeks to travel and return via train. California, Oregon, Washington. Those would be nice states to have, and a couple of them are key here. There's not a lot of electoral votes there, though. Yeah, we won't do the entire coast. We'll just do California. There may be a method to your madness, but if you're going all the way out west, why not stay for a few days and build some real enthusiasm? Okay, so we got California. We've got some support now in Washington. It's still pretty close. Okay, what is your definitive position on the tariff issue? We need to lean conservative on this one a little bit in favor of tariffs. Yeah, let's look again. Tariffs, they're supportive. They're slightly supportive. They're supportive. The states I'm after are supportive, but the states that I'm trying to win are opposed to tariffs. So we'll try to go moderate on this. I see what you're doing, and I like it. It might not be a bad thing to compromise on some issues outside of silver coinage. All right. Boy, these are super, super close. And, of course, the reason these three are white is because they're not states yet, so they don't have any electoral votes. Oh, boy. What can we do to kind of swing this? What is your opinion on measures that would aim to restrict the sale or production of alcohol? All right. On temperance, Ohio is slightly supportive. Indiana supportive. Iowa is opposed. The states that I am trying to hold on to are supportive. So I think we could go slightly in supportive this one. All right, so we'll oppose a blanket temperance law. It's a moderate answer that offends very few people, but probably wins few to my side, too. Well, Ohio's getting closer, so maybe. This is winnable. We're still a long way to go, though. What do you think of leaving the Midwest for a week and making a circuit to the crucial upper South states? Yeah, see, I kind of already got those. No. Yeah, we need to win these Midwestern states. Nothing wrong with campaigning in the Midwest. It's not winning it to me, though. The United States is in the midst of a financial calamity with masses of unemployed men in the streets. What will you do to revive business in this country? All right, so how do people feel about business? Conservative, moderate, 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 moderate. More liberal down here, so kind of have to go moderate here. Democratic idea has been that if you legislate to make the masses prosperous, their prosperity will find its way up through every class which rests upon them. All right, allow the coinage of silver. One of your favorite lines and a favorite of your supporters also. Indiana or Illinois and Iowa are getting super close now. Do you think that there should be a federal oversight of the New York and Chicago trading markets? This one could be dangerous in those places. Let's see. The stock market and railroad company chicanery which caused the panic. Sensible regulation. Yeah, let's do that. Didn't give me any response to that, but things are getting bluer. I like it. It's 224 to 223 now. By the way, I should mention that it is a little bit painful for me to be campaigning against McKinley. He's our local guy. My wife and 3 of my 4 grandparents grew up in Niles, which is William McKinley's hometown. My great-great-great-uncle built the house William McKinley was born in. My wife went to McKinley High School. So, do you believe that immigrant labor is undermining the American worker? Should there be some restrictions put in place on immigration? There's nothing about immigration here. We live in an open society, but that should never serve as an excuse for business to undermine the American worker by paying pauper wages to new arrivals. I like that. Not entirely sure how that plays, but looks like I'm winning at the moment. About halfway through this thing. Can you respond to rumors that you would seek to abolish the Supreme Court? How would he do that? He'd need a constitutional amendment to do that. 8 years of a William Jennings Bryan presidency will leave the court in much better shape to address our nation's problems. So yeah, let's do that. This answer is a good way to emphasize that you wish to change things within the system. So I don't like what the Supreme Court did, but I'm going to use the existing structure to fix it, not do anything radical. So Indiana's getting more solid. I like that. Still pretty darn close, though. But remember, McKinley's an Ohio guy, so the fact that Ohio is even in play is remarkable. Is it generally appropriate for federal courts to issue injunctions against striking unions? All right, again, we've got to play the balance here because when it comes to labor, the states we're trying to win are pretty moderate. They're also moderate to conservative on business. Maybe in limited cases where unions are a threat to public safety or where they undermine an essential industry. The courts are notoriously conservative, however, and definitely take this practice too far. All right, that doesn't seem like it rocked the boat too much. Things are just staying super, super close. I'm just afraid there's going to be like one of these that's going to just really mess things up in a dramatic way. So we'll see. Critics have said that you wrap yourself in religious imagery too much for a presidential candidate. What is your response? The word of the Lord demands we give our attention to the poor, the sick, and the feeble. This campaign is not about me. I'm a mere servant of Christ. I don't know if I want to go that far on the religious end. The humblest citizen in all the land, when clad in the armor of a righteous cause, is stronger than all the hosts of error. Let's go that route. True to form, your answer is either mocked or taken for the gospel. It all depends on who you ask. All right. Ohio is officially kind of swing. I mean, all of the Midwest, all the way down. I mean, look at this whole area here that's up for grabs right now. My goodness. Popular vote estimate actually has me up by almost 3%. Do you support greater regulation on the sale and labeling of opium, cocaine, and morphine when used in patent medicines? I don't know if that should be patient medicines. Medicines should clearly be labeled with their ingredients so that those who wish to avoid intoxicating substances can do so. All right. That made things more solid in the places I was already winning. Looking good right now. Looking good. Should corporations be permitted to hire private detectives for security and infiltrate into labor See, the Pinkertons were getting involved, and there were a lot of really strong acts of violence that happened, and the Pinkertons were involved in a lot of those. This is a dangerous issue here. I don't see who has the authority to stop this. Let's do that. Let's just say, I don't know if the government should step in on that one. That didn't really help me too much, though. You're making a big speech in Chicago today. What points will you touch on? I'm a moderate who supports the free coinage of silver. I am not a radical, so many claim. It is McKinley's antiquated insistence on the gold standard that is truly radical. Free silver, higher wages, workers' rights, end to child labor, and women's suffrage. Is that an issue that we're talking about? Not really. I'm a moderate. That didn't really help me. I was hoping it would, but it did not. McKinley's back in front just slightly. Federal deficit has recently increased after 2 decades of steady decline. What are your thoughts on this? There would be no increase in the deficit if Supreme Court hadn't overturned the income tax. That's not something we're really talking about. Overall, the deficit is still low. Focus on free silver again. That got us back Indiana. Oh boy, this is going to be a close election. Do you think that local jurisdictions should be allowed to use hanging or other forms of capital punishment for crimes? I'm not going to focus on my faith on this one. I'll just say it's perfectly within the realm of acceptable punishment. Man, I just can't seem to swing the states I need. What is your opinion on the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy by the Dole Group? Yes, the pineapple people. Do you support the annexation of Hawaii into the United States, which I think happened in 1898 during McKinley's first term? There's not really anything on foreign policy that we're seeing here. I'm afraid this might hurt me. This is one of those ones. Oh, that actually helped. That helped a lot. Oh, I think I made the right choice there. Kind of took McKinley's position on that one. A few Western states have allowed women the right to vote. I think I'd like to focus on states' rights on this one. Welcome the support of men and women. Women can now vote in Colorado, Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming. This certainly can't hurt you in those states. Darn it, this is going back and forth. Are you prepared to reaffirm our commitment to the Monroe Doctrine? Monroe Doctrine, if you're not familiar, goes all the way back to the early part of the 19th century and basically is telling Europe, you stay out of North and South America. We'll worry about us. You worry about yourself, and we'll stay out of your stuff. So kind of a hemisphere-focused thing. I don't want to side with Grover Cleveland. I support the Monroe Doctrine as established American policy. We're going to lose Ohio. Darn it. This is going to be super close, and it's going to come down to like one state. So where we're at right now is we're down by 17. So I need to flip 9 votes, basically, is what we're looking at. That would give me 224 to 223. Where could I get 9 votes? Illinois would be more than enough. Even something as simple as Iowa would do the trick. I just don't see it, though. There's 1 week left. Midwest. Spend the entire week in Illinois, Iowa, and the Dakotas. I think I've got those. Iowa would be enough, though. Iowa's 3 points right now. Illinois is only 2. We're going to spend the whole time in Illinois. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. This is one of the few times I genuinely have no idea which way it's going to go. Once we see a couple of key states, we'll know. But I think this might be the first time I've done one of these where I really had no idea whether I was going to win. So far, we're winning all the states we're supposed to. There's a long way to go. Here's Kentucky. That was the first one that kind of was a little closer. Got Indiana. That one was a close one for a while, too. That kind of went back and forth. McKinley's got a lead in popular vote, but that's now it flips my way. We're watching Illinois. I think if Illinois goes my way, I win the election. Which means we'll probably wait till last to see that one. We're super close. We're probably not going to get Michigan. I think it really comes down to Illinois. Did my campaigning there for an entire week do enough to get it? Illinois and like California would do it. We lost Illinois. I don't think it can happen without Illinois. 226 to 211. How close was Illinois? It was 0.7%. It was actually 229 to 218. So all I needed was to flip 6 electoral votes. I won the popular vote. So historically, McKinley got 271 and 7 million in the popular vote. So I did significantly better than William Jennings Bryan did historically. But that one's probably very winnable. 1 or 2 decisions different probably wins that one. But let me know your thoughts about that. Use the comment section below. I'm going to throw links in the description to the other ones that I've done. If you want to check any of those out, I'll throw a couple up on the screen as well. Some of the more popular ones, check those out. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.